Dear students, my name is Saltanat. I'm a teacher of Linguistic College. Today's theme is writing letter of complaint. The aim is to write an effective letter using persuasive techniques. In order to understand how to write a complaint letter, you should know exactly in general how to write a letter. You should use the simple rules and you should know for whom would like to write. The next one. I prefer the type this for the consumer complaint because consumer express their dissatisfactions with the goods and services. And now I guess this problems is more popular than in other situations because with the consumers have some problems with the goods. For example, it may consist of for example, clothes or furniture. And exactly in the clothes who may has a problem with the size, quality, and the price for this product. The next one here, write letters of complaint about. Here, given the general situations, for example, you should write letters of complaint exactly for employees here. That for example, incompetent, rude, inappropriate behavior. For example, rude. In the services, waiters, or exactly, or in the shops, customers may be rude. And also about the problems with the delays, that this product or service are late, and shipment details, also merchandising. Here in the merchandising, that the product has defect or damaged by something else. And also here the mistakes on advertising. And also the policies may be unfavorable, restrictive, and discriminatory for the something for the products or services. The next one here, when would you use this type of letter? We use the complaint letter when we are unhappy with something. For example, it may be a product or a service. A product here, I mean that something we have bought. It may be the TV, it may be everything. For example, yes, furniture, clothes, some things. And also service here, something we have experienced like waiters being rude in a cafe also. And also customers being rude and being not intelligent in the shops. And here, what do we need to this type of the letter? At first, you should state in the reasons. We should be interested in the reasons, and you should know exactly about how to write it. For example, I'm writing to complain, or you may use I'd like to complain for this service or for the product. And also, you should give the reasons. Why are you complaining? Supported by evidence. Here, the most common problems that when the people write a common complaint letter, they give their reasons, but they do not support them by evidence. That is why the problem is not solved correctly. For example, here, I was shocked by the rudeness of your staff. The waiters ignored me in your cafe on Friday while I was waiting at the counter. Here, the evidence was that in your cafe, he was ignored on Friday, and also the waiters ignored him and be very rude. The next one here, as I mentioned before, you should take into account the persuasive techniques and how they've created. Persuasive techniques is a powerful vocabulary. Words like disgusted, outraged, appalling, devastating, that in order to affect for the receiver's mind, and you should use a powerful vocabulary. It helps you to solve the problem. And also you may use the questions like, how would you feel if this had happened to you? Can you imagine how I felt? That for the effectively writing of complaint letter, you should use the situations exactly in the questionable one. Then we use flattery. For example, I'm sure that in your position as senior manager, you will deal with this promptly. And also you may here use the bribery. I was hoping to persuade another TV from you, and should this be solved quickly, intend to do so in the next few weeks. And was warned, I advise you to retain your staff, as it would not look very good if you started to lose customers due to poor service. And here, as I understood that in the persuasive techniques, the writer used the flattery here, that I am sure that it's your position, but in my position also, or maybe use that I was hoping, I would like to hope, I was very gratefully, for example. And then the last one here give their advice for the receivers, that I advise you to solve these problems in order to have a very good sellers, for example. And also state what you like to happen. That I would appreciate you speaking to the members of staff concerned about the attitude to customers, and I would hope that in future products I check it before being sold to make sure that they work properly. And here we should write your version, that I would appreciate you, I would really respect you if you solve this problem. And also you should sum up your feelings, like once again, let me say how disappointed I am and how I hope you will deal with this problem quickly. And exactly we should use your sincerely or your truthfully. And here exactly the words that you should to use: adjustment, concern, disappointed, flaw, inconvenient, misleading, resolve, reimburse, unfortunate, incident, overlooked, unjustifiable, displeased, mistake, mishandled, action, compensation, repair, unprofessional, insufficient, and replace. The next one, what don't I include? Here, don't include. That I want, I feel, I need. Because this complaint letter is a formal one. In the formal one, we use not I want, we use I would like to. I would like to campaign, I would like to solve this problem, I would like to give my vision, or something like this. And I feel he is inappropriate to use your feelings, your emotion in writing a complaint letter, and also your need. And also using the sarcasm, accusations, abuse, negativity, threats, blaming, and of course exaggerations. And here is the tips of writing. That tips of writing here, the situation when we write your complaint letter. At first, you should thinking about the situation, maybe compose some mind map in order to effectively write your situation with the evidence. For example, you should like details are fresher in your mind. That the details must be fresher, and also you should be brief. For example, that a one-page letter has the best chance of being read. It's okay to have to write in one letter, one page, because when we write 2 or 3 sentences or use some in the complaint letter use 3,000 words, you may you don't catch the attraction of the receivers. That is why you should be brief, and also you should know the receivers that in general send a complaint letter to a specific person. You should know about how they solve this problem and how to write this type of complaint letter. And here exactly what do I include? You should include the problem. You should include the factual details, exactly date, time, names, and also the place. On the coffee, or the date, for example, on Friday, the 5th of December, the names, for example, the names of waiters and the names of your names, maybe the problems and relevant documentations, that warranties, guarantees, and there also pictures of them. For example, there may be the warranties of the product and also all the service, exactly, the pictures of the product. And here the why does the problem needed to be resolved. You should here writing with the evidence. And here the fifth one, explain what to expect from the personal company. Here we should write that I would appreciate you, I would hope you, if you, for example, solve the problem with a service or good. And the sixth one, state when you want action to be taken. Exactly, you should write a deadline here. And in the seventh one, you should include your name, address, and phone. After you're sincerely, you're truthfully, you should write your about your information. And also here's a structure reminders that appropriate letter format. Start with a dear Mr. and Mrs. because this one is a formal letter. And then when I'm writing, for example, I'm writing to complain, I would like to complain, it's okay to use them. And exactly after the reason, you should write a reason for the complaint. Exactly, broken TV, cut my hand on the glass. After the reason, you should write evidence that it doesn't not turn and there was broken glass in the box when I opened it. Also, after the evidence, you should write the persuasive statement that I'm disgusted. Can you imagine how painful it was cutting my hand? And also, you should write what I want to happen now. That I demand an immediate refund or sum up your feelings. That I hope you appreciate how horrified I am. And also, you should write an appropriate finally that you're sincerely, you're truthfully, and your name, address, and the telephone number. And the format is a formal letter, exactly it's a business letter. And here, to write the personal letters are a good choice for all complaint letter. And types the letter if possible. If you must handwrite it, be sure it's legible and neat. You should know how to write. And the last slide is about the sample letter. Here, as I mentioned before, dear Mr. Saltanat, and this is the third time we have contacted you about your dog Bug. The neighborhood children continue to be frightened of him and refuse to play outdoors when he's in your yard. There have been several reports of him snapping at the children. When would it be a good time to discuss the situation with you? We'd like to come to some agreement without going to the authorities. I hope to hear from you very soon. Yours, sincerely yours. And here, the situation is that his dog Bug, that the children, the neighborhood children, are frightening of him. And the writer, and the Mr. Saltanat should solve the problems without going to the authorities, because here the authorities mean the policies. And also the author used the words like would like to come, not used we want to come, because this one exactly is a formal letter. That is why he used we would like to come to some agreement without going to the authorities. And also I hope to hear from you very soon. Today we'll speak about the complaint letter, and I guess that it will be helpful for you. Thank you for your attention. Yes, thank you for your attention.